In case you missed it, when Jay Spearman joined Mario and myself in the Carolina Sports Plus studio talking about the NBA, here's a clip from when we talked about the CBA and how we feel it's going to affect the 2023 season.
The CBA that they agreed upon for the 2023 season, the players have to play in 65 games in order to win the MVP and other awards. I think that would have eliminated a lot of players this year. And I'm definitely looking to get your guys' opinion on, one, if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but also, will it matter? Is the bonus that they get for being MVP or some of these other awards, is it worth it to them versus the ultimate prize and being healthy and rested when it comes to getting to the playoffs and potentially the NBA Finals? I'll start with you, Mario. We're going to go around. Your thoughts on the CBA? Do you like that the NBA is forcing these players, if they want to win these awards, to play 65 games? Do you think it's going to change anything? Do you think it matters enough to the players that those awards versus the potential of a championship run?
Well, so in my opinion, it really comes down to the fans and seeing them special players, when they pay for tickets. I think that's where the league is more focused on, but as far as the playoffs and the playoff run, you can get hurt at any given time, as you can see during this playoff. But it's a good idea. It's a good mix up. You're gonna see a lot of people who wasn't in the running for special awards be in the running just because they played the amount of needed games. But as far as the superstars, they're still gonna make their own little way around it and try to still get their rest days in on the days that they don't feel like playing as far as load management. But I guess we'll see.
Jay, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, you know what? This is really good for the NBA, man. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, and it kind of takes it back to like the early '90s, like style of basketball. You remember during that time? I ain't trying to give away nobody's age, but I was a young pup during that time, so I didn't get a chance to really enjoy the Bad Boy Pistons in the first part of the Bulls dynasty. But the MVP actually meant something. Of course, everybody had a bit of voter fatigue when it came to Jordan winning it, but years and years and years, and hence we had Charles Barkley taking it over in '90 or '91, and then later on in the '90s you got Karl Malone taking it, Shaq taking it, so on and so forth. But a lot of that had to not only do with the popularity of the player, but the longevity of the actual player's season. So you notice those guys; these were guys playing 65 games, 75 games, so on and so forth, just for the bragging rights alone. Especially during an era to where, Chicago was a dynasty. You knew you wasn't going to beat them. The next best thing was those individual awards. So the fact that you were able to make a claim to MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, whatever the case may be, also tied into your longevity. I think with this new CBA rule, that kind of puts us back into that echelon and swing of doing things, especially with the type of talent that we have in today's NBA. You're talking about a season to where we've had multiple 70-point games, multiple 50-point games. The average score of every NBA game has went up significantly, and then you have new talent coming into the league. This sets the tone for them as well. Your Cade Cunningham, your Victor Wembanyama, your Jaden Ivey. So I'm talking Detroit Pistons stuff. But it all boils down to being able to actually take that talent and show them that, hey, not only do you have to be good at the game of basketball, but you have to remain as healthy as possible. And I think that's where we're going to be able to get rid of this load management aspect. It's something that I just always hated.
I despise the whole load management. Warren, And this is speaking of a non-basketball athlete, and this is speaking of what athlete I was. I was very young, so I obviously cannot speak in an actual body of an NBA player and what the toll throughout the year is. All we know is they only got to actually play 82 games. I say only 82, but I mean essentially you got 82 days of work. Now, obviously, you got practice and you got scrimmages and everything else, and to what extent and what level those go, that's, in behind closed doors. I mean, not that nobody can't sit there and watch it, but we don't. We just know that there's only 82 days that you actually got to put your all in plus your playoffs. So for me, I have an issue that you get paid millions on top of millions on top of millions of dollars to play in the NBA, not counting your endorsements and awards and everything else you got going on. You shouldn't have an issue of sucking it up if you got a back-to-back or a 2 out of 3 night, stretch. You get paid. This is what you signed up for. You knew what you were potentially going to have to do, making millions of dollars. Someone had brought up, let's reduce the season, which I'm a fan of as well. Let's take it from 82 to, let's say, 62. I'm just throwing a random number out there. You're eliminating 20 games now. So 60 games become a little bit more important. I think that's one of the things we love about the NFL. There's only 17 games. Every game matters. Yes, at the end of the season, the NBA, every game matters, but let's be honest, game 20 to most of these players don't matter. They lose or win, it's not going to potentially make or break their season. Now, if you come down to a tie and you set everybody in game 20, yes, it could come back to bite you, but nobody's looking at that big of a picture. They're looking at there's 82 games. We got plenty of time. Odds are if we finish 500, even slightly above, we're probably going to make the playoffs. We're playing. So we really don't have to be that concerned. I mean, let's look at Golden State and how they hardly won any road games. Only be, one team above 500 this entire season. Didn't have Wiggins for a quarter or more of the season. Steph was out for for a good stretch there. They made the playoffs. And something else we'll get into is Draymond Green. That potentially now could cost them their playoff run. Not that I'm saying that necessarily they would have beat Sacramento, but there's a much better chance with Draymond Green on the court versus not on the court. So they kind of prove that you kind of can coast through, and as long as you have a little bit above 500 record, you're good. So I don't have a problem with them reducing the season. What's going to intrigue me for next season is to see what players the MVP award does matter. What players because now there's a minimum. So those that don't make it, outside of those that actually have a serious injury, those that don't play enough games, then obviously we know that the MVP does not matter to them. There's no value to it. So it will be interesting to me to see which ones it does matter to. Do I think it's going to change? I think I agree with you, Mario. I think that we're going to see ways the players to work around everything to kind of show us that there's still a loophole in the system somewhere. I'm sure somebody's going to find something, and we're going to see players that are going to be in running for awards and didn't maybe make that threshold, or got some kind of waiver or whatever the case may be. I just see there being a loophole somewhere. We just ain't seen it yet.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not